What's up, guys? Coming at you with another episode of the Tampa Bay Real Producers podcast. This, of course, is the podcast that is made for real producers by real producers and with none other than Tampa Bay's real producers such as Julia Wright. How are you today? I'm doing well. It's great to have you here. Looking forward to diving into your story a little bit more. Those of you who might not know Julia, she's with Keller Williams. We have featured her in a previous issue. She was actually one of our cover spotlights. I think it was December's issue of last year. So we're coming up on a year already. Wow. It's crazy how quick that flew, huh? And then we've had Julia at multiple events now that we've hosted with Tampa Bay Real Producers. We've been able to give her a framed copy of her article and all those good times. So we'll dive into her story, but why don't we start there with your background a little bit more for people who might not know you. Did you grow up in the Tampa market? How eventually did you get yourself excited and get into real estate? We'll just start there with a little bit of your background.
Okay. Yes, I'm born and raised in Tampa. I grew up in the Citrus Park area, northwest Tampa. Went through the school system here. I went to Citrus Park Elementary, Gaither High School, USF. And out of college, I started with General Nutrition Centers with one store, ran 11 stores, moved away to Arkansas, ran a whole state, all the corporate stores. Ended up falling in love with a Marine that was still stationed here. And
Nice.
Got engaged, came back, and I took a whole different turn. I worked for GNC for a little bit longer, and then I got a job working at U.S. Customs, and went into I had contract positions working at U.S. Customs, U.S. Attorney's Office, Homeland Security investigations,
Wow.
doing asset forfeiture.
A little bit different than real estate.
Oh, completely different. Completely different. Worked with some amazing people. Loved it. And but after so many years, my position was eliminated. The government eliminated it. And I worked for a federal district judge. And I always was told I should get in real estate. You should
Why?
get in real estate. I'm just a real people person, talk to people, got a big heart, try to, figure things out. And with my past jobs as a federal researcher and everything, I'm quite analytical. I'm wanting to understand things, and I keep deep, why, and let me figure this out. And one of my dear friends I worked with used to always tell me you should. And when I was working for the judge, I wasn't happy. And I used to win a lot of stuff on the radio.
Okay.
And I used to think it was a time where, things were really rough, mother was ill, my in-laws were ill, we had a lot going on, and I used to just constantly dial and win. And I finally won $20,000 on the radio.
Nice.
And I was pretty much up to here with my position.
Is this like trivia questions, or what are you winning?
It was, not to say a radio station on here, but it was
Be the eighth caller and you get blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, it was like ninth caller for the secret sound that WQIK 99.5 was doing. And I had been trying to get through, and I got through and got it right.
How about that?
And it was amazing. And so it was October 21st, I won the 20 grand, and December 10th, I left my position.
Wow.
I got into real estate in February of 2017.
Yeah, so about 6 years now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
2016. Sorry, 2016. And I've got, I was like Rookie of the Year. And I pretty much every year, doubled my production.
Yeah, so we're going to dive into what worked for you in having as quick of a success that you did, because you didn't take very long to be able to start seeing success. You just mentioned that as Rookie of the Year in your first year. Mm-hmm. What was your favorite role? I know you just mentioned a bunch of different things that you did prior to real estate. What did you enjoy the most? What was the one that kind of resonated with you?
Prior to real estate, was working at Homeland Security investigations. I loved the people I worked with. I actually was going to become a federal agent.
Wow.
I went and took the test, passed, had eye surgery for it, and got the call 14 months later to go, and it just wasn't working for my family. My father was very ill. My son was having problems, and so I turned it down. I look back, and it was the best decision. In GNC, if I hadn't fallen in love with my husband, I joke that I would probably be running GNC by now because I just was on a fast track. I loved it. I was
that in Arkansas?
Yes.
Okay. That was the corporate role that you had? I gotcha.
So, and it's working with people in retail and then, also working with attorneys and agents and laws really mesh well with real estate because it's such a litigious job. I mean, I was just in our broker's amazing, and we had our attorneys that represent us teach us annually to, cross our T's, dot our I's. And they said, if you want to look up the number, like within a few seconds, how to sue a realtor, 9 million hits.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So it's a lot. And, you have to look out for your clients but also be, sociable. Oh, and bartending and cocktailing in college helped with that too. So
that helps with the social side, I would think.
Yeah, social side, definitely. My parents.
So you're finding a lot of the things that you did, even in so I think a lot of people look at corporate America as something very different than what you experience as an independent contractor, as an agent, right? Because it's a different discipline. It's, you're not a W-2, obviously. Like there's a whole different comp structure. Everything's different from that perspective. But it sounds like you are looking back and can take some of the specific things that you did learn, even in the corporate side, even though there's a lot of obvious differences, and still say that that was all helpful in what you were experiencing and what you're doing in the real estate world. Is that true?
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. I mean, I can sit there and pick out certain things that help my role right now, even working for the judge, sitting in a courtroom all day long and sitting still and, analyzing and working. It's, because it helped me sit still, for when I need to, because I love being on the go. But at the same time, there's a lot to research and the comps and, just different things and property and there's so many layers to real estate people don't realize.
For sure. So let's dive into some of your experiences there. So you mentioned earlier you were Rookie of the Year, right? Your first full year in real estate. Do you remember what that numbers looked like in your first 12 months, or what are you most proud of in that first full year that you feel like went well for you?
My first full year was really good. I got my license February 17th, and it's funny, I'm a numbers person, and had my first closing in May. My first listing went live the day after my mom passed. She had been ill and was going in for surgery, and I called my client and I said, my mom just passed. And she's like, well, we can wait, putting your home on the market, we can wait. And I said, no, you have a time frame. You need to move to go help your dad. And it helped me that weekend get through, busy open house and, West Chase, and luckily the agent on the other side, this was so good also to work with. And that's a big thing to deal with real estate, is to not automatically go at it with the opposing agent. We're not, we're co-brokers, let's get along. So it's, sorry, I would there was just so much, but I did my first year in real estate, 2.9 million. My second year, I did just shy of 6 million. My next year, I believe I did shy of 8. And then it was I think 8 again, and then 11, and then 20 million.
Yeah, so that's a pretty big jump there. I know we just looked at last year, I think over about 50 transactions last year, over 20 million personally. So you've obviously seen, as you said, consistent growth.
Yes. And
that's interesting because even in a market where a lot of people have not seen that growth over the last, say, 12 months, are you on pace to grow again this year? Do you think you'll maintain? How's it looking for this year?
Yes, I've actually beat last year's numbers.
That's awesome. Congrats.
So I was real excited. I had an amazing month in August. It was my best month ever.
Just talked about that. 5 million for the month, right?
5.4 million.
Not bad. Not too shabby.
Nice. And of course, the following month was not that much. And, you have your highs and your lows. And,
right.
I appreciate everything I have. I just do.
So what would you say, Julia, was some keys to helping you get off to a fast start, right? I think a lot of newer agents out there do struggle when they're first newly licensed and they might take years to kind of break a couple of million, right, in volume. Obviously, you started to see some. It's not like you jumped out of the gates and did 20 million necessarily in 1 year, but you've seen consistent growth every year that you've been in the business. So what are some keys that you can share that helped you get off to a fast start and have helped you grow on a consistent basis? Like, how do you look at that, and can you identify certain things that have helped you achieve that?
I'm asked that a lot, and I'm blessed. I love Keller Williams. I always tell it, I drank the Kool-Aid, I'm in my red. But it is a really great company to learn with. But not everybody, even with the company, excels. One of my claim to fame is I'm born and raised in Tampa. I know a lot of people. I'm not afraid to talk to people. We always say don't be a secret agent. Like when I got my license, I would go speed walking with the PTA moms, and I'd have like my little Keller Williams tag on, or and they'd be like, Julia, really? I'm like, you never know. So we might be walking by somebody and they see it and they need a realtor, and they'd be like, okay, and and it's honestly not taking people for granted. I'm a golden rule person. I am not going to call you to bug you real. Do you have something to sell? What do you have? Well, and everybody has a realtor friend.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. You're going to have people who are going to list with somebody. I mean, I've worked really hard with a few people, and their nephew got their license, and
right.
They're going to use the nephew now after I did all this. It happens. But it's just being there, answering questions. I'll get a PM on Facebook or a text. Hey, Julia, could I ask you something? And then it evolves from there. I don't expect it to. Mm-hmm. I've just been very fortunate that it's grown. And also the network of friends I've going to the conventions and the other agents and the referral business I do is really, from 11 to 20 million. I was actually on a Zoom call last night with some of my referral partners, and I literally said, I met you in 2020, and I can say the very next year, I went from 11 to 20 million.
So when you say referral partners, who are you referring to? Like vendor partners, or are you referring to clients and those referrals? What does that specifically mean?
So what it is I go to all the conventions, and of course I don't have my name tag on, but my name tag's in the shape of Florida, and it has a heart where Tampa is, and I'm like, hi, I'm from Tampa, Florida, and just meeting people, other agents. Yep. And so if they have somebody coming to Tampa Bay, Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, or Spring Hill, or anything, they're like, hey, Julie, I've got this person. Do you think you can help them? Also my other clients suggesting me to people. I have friends that have suggested, hey, my friend Julia is a great realtor, or, I've had people that refer me, friends that refer me, other clients that refer me. I always dote on them too. Thank you so much. Goodie basket. I'm so excited. And so it's a lot of it is, I can say actually last year was 43 transactions. It was supposed to be 47, but Hurricane Ian, but the new construction caused 4 to go into this year. And out of 43 closings last year, 21 were referrals, about 17 were agent-to-agent referrals.
Nice. So that's a pretty big chunk.
Yes, and and they've become, amazing friends.
Yeah, that's awesome. As you know, Real Producers in many ways was built on the foundation of having a platform where agents can communicate with other agents in order to do just that, right? Like build those relationships so that a lot of your co-op opportunities exist, right? Through having a good working relationship with another agent on the other side of the deal. As you said earlier, if that isn't there, the deals are more likely to fall apart sometimes, Yes. So that's part of what the whole genesis of the Real Producer franchise is about, and obviously it's been a big part in your particular business, it seems like. So that's cool to hear. When you think about how a lot of what you've said so far was seems fairly organic with how you've built your business, right? Tapping into your network, just being out and about, not being a secret agent, facilitating conversations, seeing where that leads. Was that always been your strategy from the get-go? And did you ever do anything supplemental to that? Like, have you invested in lead sources? Do you consistently do any sort of other lead gen type programs that have been a driver in your business, or has it been really 100% referral based and organic, and that's just continued to grow?
So farming, I've done some farming in the neighborhoods, especially my former neighborhood, where I'll do flyers, goodies, drop bys, and some mailers. It's mostly been organic. It really has. I've never purchased ads. I've not done the Zillow. I mean, I've seen people go into debt doing the, paying into Zillow, and it's just, that's a dirty word, Zillow. And, it's amazing, but it's really been organic. I really have been fortunate. Even things like golden letters, I'll do a golden letter. I have clients wanting in a specific condominium in Clearwater, and, just sending mailers to those and, and getting the responses. Unfortunately, they wanted too much, but it's still, there's different ways to get the business. I'll sponsor, golf sponsorships, and I've joined, the CABA, Carrot Area Business Association, and so the networking in there, and the events they've had, I've gotten 2 listings from one of the events. I've gotten one internal from one of the people in CABA. So it's all just, what works. I can't clone myself. I wish I could. I'd be everywhere. But it's there are days I'm like, oh my gosh, where's those sheep cloners? But it really has been organic.
It's been impressive that you can, a lot of people, everybody wants to have an organic business, right? Because it's the cheapest way to go. It's also probably the most fulfilling in many ways, right? Because it's just genuine relationships that you're connecting with that are facilitating your business. But a lot of people struggle with having just that work enough that they can achieve their volume goals, right? Solely based on that. Now, that has not been, it seems like, your experience, because you've been able to grow even just leaning into those organic strategies, which I think is just a testament to how good you are at them, right? And the fact that you've invested that energy into quality relationships that don't seem to be transactional. It seems like the results speak for themselves as to where that's been heading. So I think it's impressive that you've been able to do that, really just focusing on an organic model, right? When you thought about getting into real estate, and now that you've been in it 6 years, yeah, you can hit that thing all you want. It's all good. Is your experience, matching the expectations that you had getting into the business? Has it exceeded your expectations? It has. In what ways?
It really has exceeded it really has. If you would have told me I would be, in my first year in real estate, I made more money than any of my jobs. My first year. Yeah. It wasn't a ton more, but it was enough to where I was I did that. And then the next year, and what it's done for my family, the vacations that I can I remember surprising them for Christmas with a ski trip, to Colorado, and being able to buy it myself, hide it from my husband, because my husband's always been the breadwinner, and they have not know. That is just the neatest thing. And then the travel and the friendships I've developed with other agents, and then also being able to start buying my own investment properties, and I'm born and raised here. Like I said, I grew up in Citrus Park, and I always wanted to live on Lake Keystone. Always. In high school, I
don't blame you. It's a beautiful area.
It's a beautiful area. Yep. Very rural, gorgeous. And there happened to be a house that went on the market,
nice.
And I was in the area, I'd just left some clients. I'm like, I'm going to drive by. And I'm in there, and knowing the agent, somebody I'd gone to Gaither High School with, and she's showing me around, and there's a lot of 6 degrees of separation with this house, which is crazy. That's a whole nother day. But calling my husband and going, "Oh, you need to see this." And it needed, it didn't need to be gutted, but it was in our inside. It was owned by, the funny thing is, a boy I dated in high school. His parents, his mom had bought it when we were in college. So
wow.
happened to be her house. And so we bought it and then gutted it. And I mean, it's to be able to say you want to live in a specific spot and
That's
know
awesome.
I live there.
Yeah.
And I'm having my first client appreciation event Sunday, a big pumpkin patch.
Yeah, you
and
mentioned
got
that.
The John Deere lawnmower with gonna have the pumpkins in the trailer in the back, and
That's cool.
I'm excited.
It sounds like it.
It's brought a lot. My daughter's at UF and she's studying marketing and real estate. They've seen the difference. Mom's not always great. Mom gets very stressed and they see it. But for the most, it's the neat thing also paying off their college. Their prepaid college a few years ago, and just the neat things that you can do with. Yeah, it's exceeded my
That's
expectations.
Awesome.
It really
that's a cool
has.
story. I've told my wife that we would like to get a spot in that similar area that you're talking about. I'd like to get more land, right? We live up in 54 right now in Ballantrae up there.
Oh,
it's a great little subdivision, and the house itself, is definitely good enough for our needs. But I would love to get more land. We have 5 children. I think you know that. And so having just more room for them to spread and roam and enjoy the yards, would be kind of nice rather than, as you know, Florida neighborhoods can be a little bit tight, one right next to another. So that area you're describing is really where you can get a little bit more space and have that. So it's neat.
I've always said I can't live too close to the neighbors because I yell too much. But your family, oh my gosh, I used to say it and they're beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I'm blessed for sure, as you described as well. So I don't deserve it, but I'm definitely blessed and grateful to have them. So shout out to the little ones. They watch sometimes too at home with the YouTube channels and whatnot. So it's fun. Yeah, no doubt. So when you think now to what gets you really excited about the future, right? Moving forward with whether it's this year, going into next year, is there anything new, anything that you're excited about in your business that you're putting to work, or that you're, whether that's, specifically just goals or something else, maybe certain systems or certain changes that you're excited about moving forward? What are some things that come to mind for you?
I'm excited. We just bought our first short-term rental by University of Florida, and bought one of my clients' properties in Brooksville. We're just going to sit on it and decide if we're going to build or not. And my goal going forward is really probably to get 2 purchases to build my portfolio. So when my daughter graduates, if she does want to go into real estate, make my business to where it's a true business and I'm just not running around with my head cut off. I have a full-time assistant and it's just the 2 of us, and I have great friendships, in my office. So if I do need help, like showing something, and people are there to help, and I'm there for them too. But the goal is to really make this a business to my daughter. I could eventually turn it over to her if she wants it.
Does she have an interest in real estate?
Yes.
She does?
Yeah, she's very, sharp, quick, and, it's funny because she didn't tell me that's what she wanted to go to college for. She told my husband, and my husband told me. So
okay.
I don't know if I thought that was pretty neat. I think we'd make
What
a
year
good
is she again
team.
in school?
She's a freshman.
Okay.
So we
she's
have a
got
bit.
some time.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, my husband can retire in 7 years. He would love to
So he's still with
walk
the Marines?
out now. He works at MacDill. He still has the whole Marine mentality, and he's a Marine through and through. But he works at CENTCOM. And, there are days he just dreads going to work, and I feel bad. And, and here I'm all over the place.
Right.
And, and I'm going, like next week, I'm going to a luxury symposium because I started really breaking into luxury in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Nice.
And he's stuck at work.
Yeah.
So the goal long term is hopefully 7 years, have the passive income with these rentals, and be able to take my foot off the gas.
It's a good goal. How many rentals do you have now?
Just 3, and then
Like single family homes?
One's a single family. My gosh, and it was really funny because the thing about real estate is I learn so much from my peers. like I was on a Zoom last night with them, and they were talking about syndicates and LLCs and multiples going in on a property and doing this, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what is that? And like one of the guys in my office, he's been in real estate. He bought his first place 6 years ago, and he's a young guy and just really sharp, and he's got a few short-term rentals, and I'm literally picking his brain because I now have my first short-term rental, and it's amazing the growth and what you learn, and how many doors do you own, and how many?
Yep.
Like
it's one of the things I really love about real estate too is how many different ways there are to be successful in it and to earn income from it. Whether you are a high-powered agent, and you've obviously gotten results from that commission-based side as just being a residential agent, but also as an investor, right? And you're dabbling in both now, and I think it makes a lot of sense. I think there's a huge amount of value and, in some ways advantages that you have as a real estate agent that allows you certain insights into the investment side that someone else wouldn't have access to, even just the MLS as an example, right? So using that as a tool, I think makes sense. We just had Jeffrey Borum on one of our episodes, and he's got over 40 single family homes that he rents, so he's the same concept, building his investment portfolio. He also has some interest in other commercial projects and things of that nature. And so we're actually hosting a Building Wealth Through Real Estate panel at Whiskey Cake this month, next Thursday, October 19th. I know you've been on that panel before at Whiskey Cake, so you're welcome to come if you're able to make it. But we have Frank Albert on that panel, who specializes in short-term rentals. He has over 30 of them that he owns and manages now. So he'll be talking about that on the panel. We have Troy Walseth, who's a KW person as well, and he has done over 80 fix and flips and buy and hold rentals. So he'll be on the panel. We have Tony Umholtz, who has specialized in commercial property. He's owned multiple commercial multifamily properties. He'll be on the panel. And then we actually have Frank Cotto on the panel too to talk about all of the money side and the financing and that kind of thing. So it should be a great panel. It's next Thursday for those of you who check or are watching live on Facebook, but I think it's the 19th, October 19th. So check it out if you're around, but it's aligned to a lot of what you're talking about. But yeah, I love that you can just crush it as an individual agent. And then as you kind of at your own pace, build up your investment portfolio, and it's like all the same industry, and yet you can manage it all at the same time. So it's very aligned, with what you're doing. Your vision for your real estate career, have you ever wanted to go down the road of building a team? Do you entertain that? Many people don't, and I think it's great, again, because you can be successful in so many different ways. Do you enjoy kind of just running your business as a solo agent and doing the volume that you're doing and seeing if you can scale that up, or what's a better fit for you?
I'm funny because the way I answer this is I'm a people person, but there's just something I don't want to go back to managing people.
Yeah.
I don't. Like I said to my assistant, I tried to call her every morning at 9:00 when I first hired her 2.5 years ago, and it's just not me. It's just not me. I'm like, look, when I start feeling phony or fake, and, hi, how are you today? Okay, it is not me. And I know amazing teams that do the morning call and let's get going and blah, 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 and do the cheerleader thing, and it works. Like I understand it works for some. It is just not me. I have a lot of different things pulling at me, and it's so no. Maybe in the next year or 2 or 3, maybe a buyer's agent, showing agent, and grow that way. I can delegate, but not. I'm one of those. I'm like, let me just do it.
There's a difference between just having like admin help, right, and staffing that kind of takes some certain load off of you, versus like actually being committed to team building, right? Those are two different things, I think. And not everybody should do that, really, in my opinion, or has any passion for it. Because I almost feel like it's a completely different job, really.
It is. To me, it's another job. And I'm one of those, you can lead a horse to water, but if they're not going to drink, they're not going to drink. And I've seen it a lot in real estate, and I've helped. Believe me, I've got a heart of gold. Like, I have literally, here's a lead, can't get to this one, give them a call. Like, I had one just recently. She's under contract, and she's like, Julia, what type of referral do you want? I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm excited, and she'd moved down here from Boston. She's an agent up there, and she's amazing.
Cool.
She signed up at one of our KW offices. No, I mean, when
you're willing to give without any sort of anything necessarily in return.
To deal with.
Yeah. You don't need other people's crazy to adopt.
Other people's crazy. Yeah.
I think it's great. And, you seem very content with your business. And I think there's a lot of, there's just a lot of fulfillment with that, right? Mm-hmm. That comes with being very happy with your lifestyle, with what you currently have. You mentioned multiple times that that you feel just grateful, that you have what you have. And I think that's what it's all about, really, no matter what your path is, to be able to get there. Do you find yourself, you mentioned earlier too, that you also can get a little stressed, right? And that things can get wild occasionally, especially I think as a solo agent and doing as much production as you do and working with the number of clients that you work with. What do you find the most challenging about that with trying to balance that individual production side?
The personalities. Mm-hmm. I mean, I always joke, I wish I had a crystal ball to know that this person was going to go off, there's some people that drown in a pool of water. And not a pool of water, a puddle of water.
Yeah.
Puddle. And to me, that's probably because, I always step back. How would I feel, practice, what to do. I would say that, you can't control everything, and remind yourself you can't control everything. You can't control how some people may react, but you can use certain words to help guide. And I spoke with a seasoned agent yesterday at my office because I had a major issue yesterday with somebody upset with me. And, he's like, why don't you just, next something like that happen, goes, and what else? And what else? Instead of trying to interject and salvage what was wrong. And I'm like, thank you. I'm all about listening and getting input. But that to me is the biggest challenge is the personalities, and also, and my husband hates when I say this, but a female in real estate, the dangers of it. That's always, I always tell people,
just not knowing who you're going to meet next, the listing appointments, showings,
the open houses. You need to really keep your eyes open.
Sure.
We have to watch, and even men too. I mean, you need to look out for yourselves, but ask a million questions.
Totally.
If they're not going to answer some of the questions, you don't need to meet them. You don't need to work with them.
Yeah. No, I think, years ago there was that whole, scare, not even a scare, but tragedy, right? Of one of the agents who got killed by some crazy. Yeah. You definitely have to have certain things in place.
And it was a husband and wife that lured her. That's the crazy part. Wow. So, when you have a husband and wife, they're promising it. They're the ones that lured her.
Wow.
So, you can't, unfortunately, this day and age, you want to trust everybody, but you're also, your time is valuable. Your life is valuable. It's just, sorry, there's a bunch of challenges right there, but.
Sure. No, I get it.
Yeah.
And so you, based on what you've experienced so far, do you feel like there's a certain limit on how many clients you can serve and still provide the level of customer service that you're comfortable with? Have you thought about that at all with like what you think you're capable of as an individual producer?
Mm-hmm. I like the number I'm at now.
Okay.
I've closed 37 transactions, and I've surpassed last year's numbers, which is great. I had a few luxury deals this year that really brought me up there, and I co-brokered one with an amazing agent in my office I adore. And I will say February, March, I was slammed, and I had quite a few buyers at the time. And buyers, you're out.
Yeah.
You're out. You're on the, you can't be on your, you are constant, and it's draining. It's, and I will say,
what's your split with buyers and sellers?
The past 2-3 years since everybody's moving here, Florida's sinking. I tell people, everyone's coming down here, and the prices aren't going to drop because everyone's coming down here.
Right.
And, the demand is here. So it used to be 60-40 listings. And now I looked at it again yesterday. I was like, wow, I am 50-50 again this year. So 50-50 last year. Very balanced. I've been, towards the end of this year, more listings. And that's also because I've helped a lot of families whose father passed, mom's Alzheimer's, another mom Alzheimer's. The property I purchased was actually one of my clients, and he was ecstatic that I was buying the piece of property. He's like, oh, and it's, so I've had quite a few like that, and people downsizing. So, So
you mentioned that you've been focused on the luxury side lately. So is that just because you had an interest in that? I'm assuming there's some differences that you've experienced with dealing with that luxury market as compared to maybe the general market, right?
Yes.
What are some of those differences that you've come across? And I'm assuming you've had to go through some different levels of certifications or trainings in order to kind of specialize in that area. How has that experience been like for you in that transition?
It's really different. And I still, like, the same month I had a 1.9 closing, I had a $27,000 closing.
Right.
So I don't want to
ever
just say I'm luxury. There's some people that won't get out of bed unless it's over $1 million.
Yeah.
I'm not that person. I'll say that. I'm not that person. My heart is in real estate. It's just different. The marketing, is the next level. You want the Matterport, the walkthroughs, you want video, you're investing immediately a good $1,000 into a luxury listing. KW's version.
Totally different marketing plan, right?
It's different marketing.
Yeah.
Now, I preface, no matter my listing, I have a professional photographer. So if it's a $150,000 condo, which you can't find in Tampa, but just say, or even the $40,000 parcel, I'm still going to have drone photography. I'm still going to have my professional photographer. I don't skimp on photography. It's a very big deal. I'm shocked at what some people do in MLS with their
You don't
photos.
like those iPhone pictures that show up on the MLS?
Or the toilet seat up. I'm just the toilet seat up. Just, oh my God, what?
People have like laundry laying on the bed and stuff. Yeah.
And I have an amazing photographer. He was actually my very first photographer working under a certain company, and now he's on his own, and just great.
That's good.
And so, and it's a different, not all luxury is going to sell immediately. Some
different expectations with the sellers. I think that's important too.
Very different expectations. I have a 1.7 right now. We've adjusted the price. Unfortunately, the interest rate's going up. And, the scare of the government shutdown, I believe, this past few weeks has been, now the turmoil.
The 5.4 million month you had, how many deals were involved with that?
That was 10.5 deals.
Okay. So it wasn't like you sold like 2 properties, right? And had 2 luxuries.
Yeah. And honestly, and part of that is I had both sides of 2 transactions.
Gotcha.
So, when a listing and somebody comes in or calls me, and so I have both sides. So that was part of it. And, and that was a 2.1 million in there that I shared with another agent that brought me in. And so it's, it's all different. But luxury, there's standards, there's, and when you didn't grow up with money, my mother was a Mensa member, USF graduate, but she was a letter carrier in Hyde Park. My grandfather was a letter carrier in Hyde Park. My family's originally from Ybor. My great-grandfather had a barbershop on 7th Avenue in Ybor. My dad was a juvenile probation officer. I grew up, I was
salt of the earth type people.
Ton of love. I had the best parents. I miss them every day. That's one of the things about real estate. If they were still here, I wish I could be spoiling them because I finally had the money to do stuff for them. I didn't have the money for them before. But it's, God, I lost my train of thought, so I started talking about them. But it's,
yeah, it makes sense.
Luxury is different. Luxury is different. Like, I'll walk into a lovely kitchen and they'll be like, I can't believe the appliances. They don't have this and this. And I'm like, oh, I thought they were nice appliances. They were like the GE Elite. I thought those were. So it really, for my psyche, is to think a different way.
Yeah.
And I'm learning to think a different way. And, at the same time, it's just being open, and also learning the different type of styles. Like I didn't know what a porte-cochere was until 4 years ago, and I didn't transom windows. And it's just really funny because it's like this whole new vocabulary.
Yeah.
That you weren't expecting.
Yeah, I can see that. Just knowing what those nuances are.
Yeah,
because it's a totally different market, really. It's a different demographic.
Right,
and that you're serving.
You're not working with the person. Sometimes you're working with their assistants.
Right.
So I actually was showing property in Clearwater 2 years ago to the assistant and the assistant's assistant. And he's a petroleum rep that was looking for a condo in Clearwater.
Gotcha.
And have not met, text, we've talked, he's a hoot. Sent me pictures of him traveling while we were closing on the place. You know, it's
interesting.
It's different.
Yeah, we're going to be coming up on our time here, but I wanted to give a couple more thoughts on people who might not know you that well yet personally, just to get to know who Julia is. And I think we've dove into a bunch of different interesting business principles that I think are helpful for people depending on where you might find yourself, in this real estate, market and what you're focused on. We'll get to an action step in a second. But for people who don't know you that well, Julia, do you have a favorite book or author or seminar that you've ever attended that you feel like has made an impact on you personally or professionally?
It's so funny when I say the book. Where the Sidewalk Ends, Shel Silverstein. No, it's always been my favorite
Where
book.
the Sidewalk Ends?
It's a kid's book. Sorry,
Okay.
I always joke about that. No, Ed Milet, The Power of One. I love that.
It's a great book, yeah.
Great book. I have all intention of I have a ton of books. I wish I could just sleep on them and have osmosis go in where I absorb it. Gary Keller's books, the MREA is amazing. Even the MREI for investing. And gosh, I can't even narrow down one presentation, and I'm sure as soon as this is done, I'm going to be like, that's what it was.
Well, Keller has a lot of great training programs. They're known for that,
great training.
and I know that they consistently keep pumping out more, right? More content, more trainings to provide next level opportunities. So it's
Mark. I was just at a
reputation wise is what it is from a training perspective.
Mark King, which is gosh, I'm going to mess up his title. He's like second in command for KW, and I just saw him in the South Florida talking about our market and again wanting it more for yourself, and look, this can be tough. And he shared a really big personal thing about his life. And, if that was tough, you can do this. If you can get through this, you can do this. And just, it's, there's so much, there's just, a
couple other rapid fire questions. Favorite food?
Sushi.
You're a sushi fan.
My son and I, now let me tell you.
I am too,
My son
actually.
is 19. He's going to be 20 in December. I have Irish twins. He'll be 20. She'll be 21.
Nice.
12 months, 8 days apart. My son, and the one thing, we are like this, but we bond over sushi. We order sushi, and people go, just a TV? I'm like, yeah.
We can throw it back.
I'm like, we can throw it back.
So he's a senior in high school?
Oh, no, he is 19, about to be 20. He's going to be going to the fire academy in January.
Nice.
He is not, he's not the school type. My husband wasn't the school type. It's school's
Takes
paid
after
for.
dad, huh?
Yes.
What do you guys love to do for fun when you're not just crushing real estate? What's some family things that keep you entertained?
We love to travel. We've been able to travel a lot. My daughter and I love to ski. They hate skiing.
The Colorado trips?
Oh my gosh. Yes. They don't like skiing. And then we've, gone on a cruise together. We enjoy that. We make fun of each other a lot. We're not.
That's what family's for.
We're not, Leave It to Cleaver family.
No holds barred, huh?
Yeah, no holds bar. One of my favorite things, especially, because my son and daughter are so different, is watching my son order sushi. It's funny because he just starts laughing because he knows he's ordering a ton, and we just all start laughing. But yeah, I just, try.
I noticed your tat on your foot, by the way. I like it.
Yes,
Butterfly?
it's a monarch butterfly.
Okay.
And it's actually, I also have a note on my arm. It says, "I'm always proud of you, love, Mom." And it was on a little note, little Post-it from years ago, and a gift she gave me. And she passed away. Like I said, I was just started real estate in February.
Right when the journey got started.
She passed May 11th. And when I was watering her bonsai plant, my mother, again, was brilliant and had a Japanese garden in her backyard. And I had a huge monarch butterfly just flying all over the bonsai. And then it circled me 3 times. I mean, it was just like maybe 3 days after she had passed, 4 days, just to say, because I was in a bad place. I was so upset.
She's
and I'm
there
like,
for
okay,
you.
She's there for me. And
wow,
then
that's pretty. That's
on the
beautiful.
drive home, I'm in a busy intersection, and 3 times across the windshield, a monarch. So she's my monarch.
That's cool.
So it's one of those things. Again, you wish you could go back.
What's that movie? It's like a Disney movie. Moana, where like the grandmother is like a stingray or something and like floats in the ocean. That's what it reminded me of when you just described that. Because my kids like that movie.
I miss watching Disney movies. I'm always like, "Kendall, will you watch Brave with me?" She's like, sure.
Yeah, that's very similar to what you just described. That's cool. And I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
We'll end with this. So I always find it fascinating to think about like what type of a legacy we want to leave, right? And at some time you might be done doing your residential real estate thing and you're reaching the financial freedom goals that you mentioned and you've built up that passive income. And when you can take that step back and look at what you want to be most remembered for, what do you think matters most to you, Julia, whether that's professionally or personally? Just what type of legacy do you think is most important for you to leave?
As far as personally, that I lived my life hard. Like I wanted to have fun. I wanted to take in everything. I wanted to be well-traveled. I wanted those deep friendships. As an only child, my friends are my family, and who, they mean the world to me. So, when I say I pass, I want a celebration of life. Like I want people up there talking about crazy stuff I did. Like I want to roast, because it's...
Well, your kids could probably help lead that from the conversation
you
just described.
Yeah, they could. And professionally, that, I gave it my all. I really worked hard. I was able to help a lot of people, and probably my favorite people to work with are my seniors. My senior citizens, and a lot of it's because
cool.
My parents are gone.
I always enjoy talking to senior citizens too, because as long as their memory is there, like they have so much wisdom a lot of times to share, and so many great stories, of things that they've seen and experiences, and I always find that fascinating as well.
Yeah, I always say, my name's Julia. But if a senior calls me Julie, I will not correct them. It's out of respect.
Respect your elders.
Somebody my own age, I'm like, it's actually Julia. I go, my dad would be upset if you called me Julie, because my dad used to get mad when people called me Julie. But yeah, just respect. I just want people to know I had a good heart. I cared. I worked hard. My dad instilled a strong work ethic in me. And
well, I'm sure they'd be proud for what you've built and the family you have. And how genuine you seem to be with like not only your clientele, but the people that are in your sphere of influence. So we appreciate you being here today and kind of tell your story a little bit more. It was fun. We always try to end every episode with a challenge to the audience to try to put something to work that they might have heard in our conversation today. So the way we end every episode is with that challenge. And so I would encourage you, if you've taken the time to watch this episode, whether you're live on Facebook or YouTube, or you are watching the YouTube channel or hearing this on any sort of Spotify or Apple, wherever it might be, what is one action step that you can take from this particular conversation that is going to make your investment and listening to it worth it? Maybe it's one of the books that Julia mentioned that you can pick up. Maybe you're somebody who's kind of struggled with, do I build a team? Do I want to build a team? And you kind of resonated with Julia's story about, hey, she's very happy and fulfilled running a business as a solo agent. She doesn't want to manage a team, doesn't want to go down that road. Maybe that's you, and you might want to pick her brain a little bit more about her experiences and how she's grown as she has consistently, year in and year out. And if somebody does, by the way, want to contact you, Julia, what's the best way to reach you?
Just give me a call. My number, do you want me to put it out
there?
there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, 813-842-5647.
Perfect.
And
We'll throw it on the description too.
Okay, call or text.
Yeah, no doubt. And Julia's on all the social media platforms. You can find her there too. Julia Wright with Keller Williams. But again, what is that one action step that you can take? And maybe it's tapping into that warm market a little bit more. You heard Julia give some tips as to how she did that and what things, not being a secret agent and being loud about and proud about just what you do. There's a lot of different nuggets that we dove into in our conversation, but do one thing, right? Write it down right now, put it to work, when you're going to do it, take an action step. And if you do that, then it'll be worth the time that you invested in watching the podcast. So we'll see you on the next episode of Tampa Bay Real Producers, and we'll check you then.